people were enslaved. So during that time, enslaved people were given limited rations, limited time to eat as they were working the field. So something like cornbread served to be very quick and easy to prepare, transported very easy, and it lasted a long time. So cornbread became a very big part of the meal back then. As it's progressed, cornbread has taken many different flavors, different shapes, and there's been so many different interpretations. I'm taking it back to one of the original ways of doing cornbread, and I'm taking a little bit of a twist on it. So we are going to be making brown butter skillet cornbread. So first thing we need to do is make sure that our skillet is nice and hot. I've had it in the oven here. This oven's at about 415 because I think it runs a little cold, but most cornbread recipes will be around 375 to 425. So first of all, we want to brown that butter. So browning butter is simply exactly what it says it is. We're just browning it. We're going to melt it down. Melting really fast because this cast iron pan is hot. And what we want to do is we want to keep it cooking. I'm just swirling the butter here, still some chunks. We want to keep it cooking until most of these little bubbles stop. Because once these bubbles stop, then our butter will be brown. So all these little bubbles right now, what's happening here is the rest of the moisture, a little bit of the water that is in the butter is slowly cooking out. And it's going to slowly start taking a little bit of the color. See now, like I said, the bubbling has stopped, and now we're starting to see starting to get a little bit brown. So all those milk solids that were in there starting to get a little bit dark. So why do we brown the butter? We brown the butter because we want to get a really nice nutty flavor. It's very nutty, very smooth, and just to me, brown butter makes everything taste better. It's getting there, almost there. Got some rice on the back. Yeah, it's definitely getting there. If you see again, it has stopped bubbling. It's getting darker. Now, there comes to a point with this brown butter that you do not want to keep it going. Let's just get this into the pot here, and then I'm going to turn this off. So, for those of you, we just browned some butter. Again, you can see that butter is nice and brown. Our skillet is still nice and hot. Now, a lot of recipes are going to tell you to, mix your wet ingredients and mix your dry ingredients and everything. We are going to just get everything in here. We're going to start with the honey, with a little bit of honey that's going to go in. Just scoop out that honey. You can use sugar. You can use maple syrup if you like. We're going to give that a little bit of a stir. What this is also doing, it's also going to cool down this brown butter a little bit. Then I have some buttermilk, full fat. Full fat. You're making cornbread, use full fat buttermilk. So by now, everything here is a little bit cooler. So now we can add our eggs. So let's add 2 eggs. Give it a good mix. Now let's make that magic happen. Let's get our salt in there. We're gonna get our baking soda, our baking powder. We're gonna start adding some flour here. Just making sure that it's just kind of coming together. We don't want to overmix this. And then finally, we are going to add the cornmeal. Now the flavor off of this is going to be amazing. I just want to get this pan back to being nice and hot. So it goes in there. The smell of this right now, very intoxicating. There we go. If you can see it right here, typically when you're making cornbread, your batter is a little bit lighter in color, a little bit more yellow, and that's not happening here because we are making brown butter skillet cornbread. This pan is nice and hot. Watch the handle because it's being in the oven already. And what we are going to do is turn this off. We still want to make sure that this skillet is hot. The key component to it. All right. Hopefully you guys can hear this. We had that nice little sizzle. There we go. We got this oven nice and hot. I'm going to put right from the pan right into the oven. We're going to take a look at this in about 25, 35 minutes. So that was our brown butter skillet cornbread. As promised, I got a lot of recipes for tonight. Well, actually 3. So I'm just going to grab our next one and we're going to get started on that next one. Okay, now it's soup time. We are going to be making a spicy peanut and pumpkin soup. Why did I choose these ingredients? Well, in our culture, and particularly on the African side, peanut chilies are very prominent in a lot of African cuisine, especially West African cuisine. Pumpkin as well. This is actually reminiscent of a peanut stew, just because we're using some peanuts in here. But this is that type of recipe that, especially if anyone, for all those that are in Winnipeg, it's really cold right now. Actually, across Canada, it is very cold right now. So this is going to be one of those recipes that is going to warm your soul. So always start. Get that pan nice and hot. Okay. I got a hello from Arizona. Jay Hussett, what's up? See a lot of familiar faces. Keep on joining, guys. Thank you very much. We're also going live on Zoom. For those of you that are just joining us, we are doing some live cooking today. We are talking about Black History Month. We are celebrating the culture through cuisine. So thank you for joining us. I am Chef Rob Thomas at Chef Rob Thomas on Instagram as well. So this soup here, we're going to start with a little bit of base of coconut oil. I like using coconut oil, and seems like a lot. We got a lot of stuff on there. I like using coconut oil as my fat when it comes to particular dishes because the fat matches the dish. So something like, say, Caribbean cooking, you wouldn't use olive oil, right? Canola oil, yes, you can, but coconut oil, because a lot of these dishes have coconut milk in them, we want that fat. So that's what we're going with. So this oil is hot. Let's give it a test. Yeah, we got some sizzle. So when you're cooking, always make sure that your pans, your pots are hot first. If you throw something in there and it doesn't sizzle, then pan ain't ready yet. Okay, get those onions in there. Onions, they're just that perfect base for so many different types of recipes. So many recipes start with onion. And I love onions. How about you guys? Some people don't like it, but you probably eat it way more times than you actually care to know. I'm just unwrapping these ingredients here. There's a lot of great ingredients in this recipe. So while we have our onion in there, we got a little bit of garlic. So I'm just going to get these cloves, give it a nice smash here. We're going to be pureeing this up, so I don't really need to chop these too fine. Get that garlic in there. I have some ginger in here as well. That combination of garlic and ginger, I don't know. For some reason, it's just such a fantastic thing. We're gonna let that cook a bit. We don't want it to get too brown. We don't want our garlic to start burning. So we're gonna add another ingredient soon. I wanted to talk about this pumpkin. Some people call it Jamaican pumpkin, some people call it the West Indian pumpkin. You can find it in Africa as well. So I don't know whose pumpkin it is, but we use it in our culture. So you can see on this side, the skin is a little bit like light and tan. There's also green in there too on some of them. And it's kind of like a oblong shape. And the flesh you can see is like a bright yellowish orange here. And the flavor that we get off of this is something similar to, I would say, like a butternut squash. You're going to get like a tiny bit of sweetness from that as well. So that's going to be a major ingredient in this soup here. So as this is cooking, I have this pumpkin, some pumpkin puree. If you cannot find this pumpkin, you can try using a different pumpkin. If you are not comfortable with making your own puree, even though it is fairly simple, then just get canned pumpkin. But I really highly suggest you getting a pumpkin and just roasting it. I roasted this pumpkin at 400 degrees for about 40 minutes. It came on nice and soft. I peeled off the skin and just put it through a food processor, and this is what we get. So now we are going to get this pumpkin puree inside this pot. Give it a good mix. It doesn't really need to cook too long. Salt, bonnet, pepper. Very hot, but still very tasty. I'm going to drop one of these in whole. I'm not going to cut it open. Dropping it in whole versus cutting it open. So when we drop it in whole, what this is going to do is it's still going to release the oil. So we're going to get a lot of the flavor of the pepper, not as much as the heat. There's still going to be a little heat, but it's not going to be as much as if you were to cut this open. So I'm just going to drop that right in there. Then I have a little bit of vegetable stock. You can use chicken stock. You can use water if you like. But this is a vegetable soup, so I prefer to just use a vegetable broth. Give it a nice little stir. We want to bring this up to a boil. Now the good thing is that these onions and the garlic and the ginger have already started cooking. This pumpkin puree was already cooked, so just coming up to a boil and then a simmer, and we are in business. 1 second, I am going to check and just see that cornbread is looking. Oh yeah, you want to come in here and see that? We're getting there. Oh, that's beautiful. For all of you on Instagram, sorry you couldn't see that, but it's just a beautiful work of art. And I can smell that corn, I can smell that brown butter. So all these flavors, everything that we are trying to achieve is coming through. So as we are waiting for this to come up to a little bit of a simmer, Yeah, let's
Hi, Rob.
let's have a conversation.
Can you know yourself?
I am.
You look like you are.
I am. This is fun.
Rob is very well traveled, and I'm going to ask you about your travels in a minute. But I also had a question from one of our viewers. They asked, did you grow that pumpkin yourself?
I wish I did. I wish I did, but unfortunately,
This year?
yeah, my garden at this time of year hasn't been doing very well. No, to grow something like that is you need a very long growing season or to start indoors. But you know what? I think whoever asked that question, I think that's actually a good idea. Maybe it's
Maybe that's your next,
even a little bit of a challenge.
next year.
I
Next
will.
year, we're hoping.
Yeah, we'll try.
You have a very moist ground for that. But yeah, tell us about, because you know that you travel all over. You've done some fantastic things throughout your career. So tell us something. What's the biggest thing that stands out for you as a chef in your career so far?
Wow, it's hard to say what the biggest thing is, but there's there have been some notable things. Um, I've had the opportunity to cook for a lot of interesting people, and through these interesting people, I've had some really fantastic experiences. Um, one experience that I would probably say that was one that I would never ever forget was cooking for the Root. So I cooked for the Roots. For those who don't know, that's Jimmy Kimmel fan. I actually cooked for them twice. And the first time was still a great experience. It was very brief, got to meet them and everything. And then the second time was such a great experience because they they actually recognized me when they walked in the door. And they see a lot of people. They're very well traveled. And for them to walk in the door and look at me and say like you were the guy that cooked for us last time, it was great. And I ended up hanging out with them that night. There was an after party at the Pyramid where Questlove was DJing, and I actually just got to hang out with them the whole night. Very, very cool. Yes.
And you travel a lot.
Yeah, I do. More than the norm. More than the norm. As I travel, I try and gather food experiences, cook wherever I can. Sometimes that's led me to again great experiences and looking for some really cool people. Um, I I cooked for actually a very very well known black athlete who was seven.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was a few years ago, and it was just a great experience to end up cooking for him, meeting him, and yeah, just looking forward to more of these experiences.
I'm sure you're gonna have lots more. And how do you connect your history? We've known each other for a long time.
Mhm.
So how do you connect what you're doing now and the history of how you came here and doing this and loving it, obviously.
Mhm.
But how do you connect Black history?
Well, I grew up in a household where there was always really fantastic food. I took a lot of time to learn about the cuisine, and as I've gone forward in my career, I've always taken these little things from home, and when I say home, not necessarily just my home, but other people's homes, friends, family, how I was raised, and there's just always certain ingredients that always stick out, and I try and keep them very close to me, and when I'm cooking for other people and I want them to be introduced to a lot of, say, my cuisine, our cuisine, sometimes you just gotta slide a few little ingredients in there and, kind of get it going, right?
Your own too.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
good. And I know a lot of Caribbean homes, a lot of African homes, they don't necessarily follow a distinct recipe. They put this and they put
They
that.
just,
That's a little bit of love, their own little in there.
yeah.
So how's that as a chef? Is that harder to do or?
No, I think that as a chef or even as a home cook, the longer you've been doing it, you kind of get this sense where you can almost taste it before you actually taste it. right? As you're adding ingredients in, you know, even right here as I'm cooking, like I'm looking at this, like already salivating, like what is it? What's it tasting like already without having to actually taste it? So it's just it's cooking, it's reflex, and it's for the love of it.
I'm gonna let you get back to it.
All right.
Thank you guys for joining us. Continue. We're gonna have this is only halfway through.
This is only halfway through.
Right.
Okay, so thank you very much. So our soup is coming to a boil. For those of you that are just joining us, we are doing some cultural cooking for Black History Month. We started off with a brown butter skillet cornbread that is in the oven right now. This right here, we are doing a spicy peanut and pumpkin soup. So in here we got some onions, some garlic, some ginger, a little bit of pumpkin puree, and we have a whole Scotch bonnet pepper in here right now. So we brought this to a simmer. Now comes the fun part. Okay, so before we go to this next step, I need to hear from my Instagram audience and the Zoom audience. I have this pepper in here. So what do you guys want? Should I keep it a little bit spicy, keep the pepper in here, or take the pepper out? Okay, I got someone saying it smells heavenly. I bet it smells heavenly. It does. So I'm going to keep this pepper in here. Now we are going to add some coconut milk. Again, full fat. We want it really thick. Again, this is going to be one of those really hearty soups. It's all coming together in pieces right now. And then, of course, how would this be a spicy peanut pumpkin soup? We didn't have any peanut. We're actually going to use peanut butter. I like using natural peanut butter. For one, there's no junk in there. There's no preservatives. You're just getting straight peanuts. And you're going to get a little bit of a better flavor. Natural peanut butter is also much smoother. So we're just going to make sure and get all that in there. And then I am going to kill that heat. I'm turning off the heat because as we add that peanut butter in, because peanuts have oil, it is going to separate a little bit. So I need an immersion blender. So immersion blender, one of my favorite kitchen tools. Very handy, you can bring it anywhere. And in a lot of cases, it eliminates the use of a blender. If you are doing this in a blender, I would suggest doing it in batches and do not fill your blender all the way up. Half at the most, and make sure you have a cloth over the lid because hot liquid in a blender goes straight up, and we want you to enjoy your food. So let's get this going here. I'm chasing this pepper here. There I go. I got it. There we go. There you go. You want to just make sure that it is nice and smooth. Get rid of this here. Okay. Now, in my last conversation, I was talking about, you can almost taste it before it's done. Yes, you can, but it's still very important to taste, because sometimes you're going to have to adjust a little bit of the salt, maybe even the heat. Yeah, that's definitely, ooh, that's definitely got some heat. Ooh, I like it. I like it. If you like heat, you're gonna really love this. If you don't like heat, I would suggest taking out that Scotch bonnet after it's been simmering in there for a little bit. Still throw the pepper in there. If you don't have Scotch bonnet, I would say look at for maybe some habaneros, jalapenos. You could do, but I would say stick to your Scotch bonnets or your habaneros. Scotch bonnets, usually you can find them at some specialty grocery stores. Habaneros are a little bit more easy to find, but definitely you're going to want our brown butter skillet cornbread came out just the way that I knew it was going to come out. You can see it's nice and soft and fluffy. Around these edges, you can see that it's pulled away. That brown butter kind of helped give us like a really nice crust on it. This is absolutely fantastic. We're going to let this cool, but there we go. You guys saw how easy it was. I didn't use a whole lot of ingredients. And once I had them, I just had the bowl and the skillet and the oven. So very easy to do. It's got some really great presentation on it. But again, like I said, we have to let this cool for a little bit. And then we're going to plate it. We're going to have it with a little bit of the soup as well. So bear with me one moment, and I'm gonna get set up for the next recipe.
So while you're setting up there, I'm going to talk really quickly. Don't know if you guys noticed these lovely mugs that we have going right now. This has Rob's special brew in it, but
Special brew, it's just water. It's water.
so some of our lucky viewers today are going to get their own special mug that will be able to get up very soon. So we are going to put a quick little note in the chat, and the question that you have to answer, and we'll take top 3. Let's see how good you were listening. One of those special moments in Chef Rob's career was cooking for What's There. So I'll give you a few minutes, and you get to answer that question, and you'll be able to win a special mug from Black History Manitoba. And Black History Manitoba, you can find all the information at BHM.winnipeg.com. And we still have, you're one of our last events this February, but we still have a couple more to go. Encouraging you to go on the site, get more information of the event happening. We have a youth debate this weekend on Saturday at 11 o'clock. Our young people are so excited to get out there and debate. The topic this year is tokenism, which is a very controversial and a very meaningful topic that they've chosen. So look for them this Saturday on Zoom. We're going to be doing that event too. Get more information, BHM.com.
Perfect. I'm going to take a little bit of time to give some shout outs here. I see on an IG live. I see Ness. I see you. I see you there. Oh, we got Emerson Brewster, YWG 204. Emerson Brewster. Some really great clothing there. He's also does the Blackberry Boys line, so definitely check him out. And we're going to get set up for another recipe. Hope you guys are having a good time. Drop me a line in the comments. Let me know you're here. Let me know what's up. And thanks for joining. If you are just joining us, we are celebrating cultural cuisine of Black History Month. I am Chef Rob. For those of you on Zoom, at Chef Rob Thomas on Instagram. And we are having a good time here. Thank you for joining us. We got another recipe coming. We did some brown butter skillet cornbread. That was the first one. Then we had this soup, and I am going to plate it. So this is a spicy peanut and pumpkin soup. It's got a beautiful color. For those of you here, I can only tip it so much, otherwise it's going to fall out. But it smells fantastic, and I think it's just time for another recipe. So we move a few things out of here. Perfect. So I'm going to put this right there. So my IG fan. I'm your hero, Trevor Bailey. I feel you on that one, man. I feel you on that. Okay, another recipe. Here we go. Okay, so for those of you on Zoom, and I'm still talking to my IG fan here too. You know, let's just rewind a little bit when this pandemic that we were in started. I'm not going to get into all the politics of it, but I'm just making a point here, is that, you know, at some point we all had to kind of change the game a little bit. For me, it was making a little bit of a transition from actually being, you know, in like clients' homes and cooking meals to now being on their screens. So this is a little bit of a tribute, well, a tribute to myself, of one of the first videos that I did on Instagram, and I still to this date have people sending me pictures, requesting that recipe. Still, people are tagging people in this recipe, so I know this is a good one, and I just figured, let me bring this back, but I'm gonna remix it a little bit. So we're gonna start off with some shrimp. We are making coconut curry shrimp. So we're gonna start off with some shrimp here. I have these shrimp are peeled and deveined, meaning that the main vein down the middle has been pulled out. I've taken all the tails off. These shrimp are 21-25 size shrimp. So when you see that on a bag of shrimp, that number, since this one is 21-25, that means you're going to get 21 to 25 shrimp per pound. So the smaller the number, the larger the shrimp. So there's a little bit of liquid in here. I'm just gonna get that out. So I'm gonna get this shrimp into a larger bowl. And next up, I got this that I made here. I made this earlier today. This is it's called green seasoning. Now, to any of my Trinidadians out there that are watching, you are going to know exactly what this is. So, for some of you who don't, I'm just going to show you some of the ingredients. There is a few more that go in here, but this is probably the most important one here. This is what we call, in the Caribbean, we call this shadow benny. Now, in Latin cuisine, especially Latin Caribbean cuisine, this is referred to as culantro. Now, shadow benny or culantro has a little bit of, I would say, a little bit of a cilantro flavor, but it's just, I find it a little bit more earthier and just a better flavor, just for my personal taste. Then we have these peppers. These are pimento peppers. These peppers are not hot. These are more known as the seasoning peppers. There's a little bit of thyme here, some green onion, along with some garlic in there. I threw some ginger in there, and I threw a little bit of white onion in there, and a pinch of salt. And I just kind of blitzed it up, and we just kind of have, it's just kind of like a green paste. So in Caribbean cooking, namely Trinidadian cooking, this green seasoning is like the base of everything. So this is where most great recipes start. A lot of other cultures have something similar. If you look in Latin culture, one of the big things they have in there is a sofrito. And a sofrito is still very similar to green seasoning, but it's not the same thing. Okay, so I'm just going to get a healthy amount in there. Just give it a nice little toss. Yeah. And that, you want that to sit for a little bit. So I'm gonna get this pan hot. I'm just gonna push this. I'm just gonna push this front to the side right now. Move this, and we're gonna get into cooking that coconut curry from. Now, I'm gonna be adding another ingredient that I didn't add last time, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be educational for some. Thank you for joining us already. If you have not been following, we are celebrating the cultural cuisine for Black History Month. I am your chef for the evening, Chef Rob Thomas. Hey, there we go. Pleasure to be here. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Big shout out to Black History Manitoba. Thank you for all the hard work you do. You probably don't get thanked enough, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to start off with, again, you guessed it, some coconut oil. I just love that. Sorry, big pan. I just love that smell that you get off of it as well. Smells like, you guessed it, coconut. Okay, so our pan is hot. Again, we're going to start off with some onions. Going to throw down some onions in there. Again, most great recipes start with a little bit of onion. With some bigger pieces in there, that's okay. Just gonna add some texture to this dish. This is cooking pretty quick. I don't know if you guys have ever cooked with any of these like little gas burners, but they're quite hot. So if things take a little bit longer on your stove when you're doing it, it's because this thing just gets really hot. Okay, so we got our onions. They're starting to get a little bit brown on the edges. Then we're gonna add some ginger. Get that ginger in there. Love that ginger. Again, some really great aromas coming off that. As soon as you drop that ginger in the pan, it's just like boom. It's already gone to that next level. But we can't just keep it at that same level. We got to keep on bringing it up. So again, gonna give it a light tap of, on the cutting board, and I'm just gonna get some nice little slices of garlic here. Get that garlic in the pan. while this is cooking, and this was just a different step that I didn't do, but I'm bringing it to you here. I'm gonna cook a little bit of the shrimp. I'm gonna give it just a really quick cook. It's not gonna be cooked all the way through. The reason being is that when you add this later, there's oh, got a shell in here. There's a ton of water that is going to be released. And we don't want that water to be released in there because it's just going to make our dish really watery. So what we want to do is we want to get the shrimp in there, get a little bit of color. This is our salt. We didn't even add this. We didn't even add the salt yet. A little bit of salt right there. Don't be afraid to use salt. I know in this day and age we're saying we always want to have a little bit of this and a little bit less of this, a little bit less of that. Don't be afraid of salt and other seasonings, because that's why our food tastes so good. Okay, that's getting a little firm. Okay. So this shrimp, I'm gonna take that. You know, it also gave us a little bit of an opportunity to cook that green seasoning. So that green seasoning, it's got a lot of nice earthiness to it. Like I said, some earthiness, some grassiness to it, but you definitely want to see the difference once you cook it a little bit. And these shrimp are halfway cooked, and there's still a bit of green seasoning in the pan, and that is okay. In fact, that is fantastic. That's exactly what we want. Okay, let's put this shrimp aside. Now we're back to the pan. I'm going to use a little bit of garam masala. Great Indian spice. Mixture. Oh wow, a lot of great aromas coming out now. I wish you guys were here. I wish you guys were here. This is fantastic. Then we have a little bit of curry powder here. So there's a lot of different types of curry powder. This is like a yellow curry powder. Use it a lot in Caribbean cuisine. Look at this. I know. So now this pan looks like it looks like it's getting dry in here. It's okay. That's okay. We're almost there. Now I'm going to add a little bit of tomato paste. I know it sounds weird, but tomato paste is really great for flavor, and it's just going to help kind of keep this all together as we cook and we thicken it. So again, just keep this moving in there. I got a little bit of chicken broth, so we're just going to get this chicken broth in here. That's going to help lift everything off the bottom of the pan. Okay, now what am I adding? I am adding plantain or plantain, however you want to call it. So you can get it in different forms here. This one is kind of greenish yellow. Sometimes you can get very, very green. It's starting to turn yellow, and this is at a point where it's gotten yellow and black. And I'm using this one because I want to get a little bit of sweetness off it. So plantain is different from banana in a way that it has to be cooked. You cannot eat it raw. In fact, I would highly advise against having it raw. You can get very sick. The starch content is quite high, so when it ripens, it gets very sweet. And once you cook it, it'll be even sweeter. It'll be sweeter than any banana that you have ever had. So I'm just gonna cut these into some little pieces here. It's gonna add a nice little sweetness to it. I turn this pan off, just because, like I said, it gets pretty hot. So I'm going to add this plantain in here. Let that pan get nice and hot. And then go back to coconut milk again. Coconut milk is one of those ingredients found in a lot of Caribbean cuisine, African cuisine, actually a lot of cuisines. We're talking about our cuisine today. So that's what we're talking about. So we got some coconut milk in there. I like to use full fats. Starting to come together. I am going to add a tiny bit of water to it. Seems a little too thick right now. That's okay. We're gonna have that water to it. And what are we missing? Shrimp. This is coconut curry shrimp. We can't have it without the shrimp. So let's get that shrimp in there. There's still some of that green seasoning on it. I'm loving that. I am loving that. And we are going to want to bring this up to a nice little simmer. You can see it's starting to bubble a little bit. The plantain will not take that long, neither will the shrimp. So I am just going to get a lid on here while that finishes and have another little chat.
People, you're not even understanding. If I even try to explain to you how good it smells in here, I'd be doing it no justice at all. It is just, oh my gosh.
Thank you.
This is really great. And these are all the different ingredients and the flavors that come together to make this perfection. So there's a question in the chat about the broth. Have you made your own broth at all for the vegetable or the meat?
Yes. So depending on what I have on hand, I will use. If I have some homemade broth, I'll definitely use some homemade broth. But if I have to purchase it, then you do what you got to do. But when it comes to any of like your soups, rices, anything that you're adding a liquid to, I always highly suggest going with some sort of broth, chicken, beef, vegetable, whichever suits the dish or suits you. Put some flavored liquid in there instead of just water.
Fair enough. That sounds very, very wise from a wise person.
Very wise words.
Wise words.
Wise words from Chef Rob.
So, what's up next for you, Rob? What's going on in your lovely life here? What's happening?
Well, it's very interesting. I kind of have a project that I've been working on, and I'm honestly keeping it a little bit under my hat.
Okay.
But in the next couple months, you're gonna see this project unveiled.
We have to keep following you.
Yes, you have to keep following.
Checking out your website.
Yes, and you have to stay on the screen because we're gonna be plating on some of the food, and you don't want to miss that.
All
Right?
your presentation
We're
is
gonna,
almost as good as the way that it smells.
oh
and it
yeah,
looks.
we're gonna be making a lot of people jealous here.
And we're gonna get some IG fans here. We're gonna help you out a little bit. Get a closer look at what exactly is happening here because it's not fair. You're stationary, so we're gonna move you around a little bit.
All right, there we
Get
go.
IG going here.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we got this shrimp here, and the plantains are in here. Now, as much as I'm smelling all the curry and everything happening, I'm really smelling that green seasoning as well. So again, it's always very important that we taste as we go. Man, I'm telling you, this is the real deal here. I'm gonna give it another tiny little pinch of salt. I have here some pepper sauce. Now this is pepper sauce, not pepper sauce. This is pepper sauce. Some of those Scotch bonnets in there. And you don't really need a lot. I'm gonna go with maybe that's about a teaspoon and a half. Just to bring it up. And when it's your own dish, that's when you can start kind of going in and adding as much heat as you want. But when you're cooking for people, you always just want to make sure, keep them in mind. Keep them in mind. I know we always have, some of us have those friends that as soon as you put like a little bit of black pepper in there, and they're just like, it's too hot, it's too hot. So imagine what this is gonna do. So keep it at a medium and keep your hot sauce on the side, and it will be just the way you like it. I'm going to finish this off with a little bit of lime. I feel like a little bit of acidity is definitely what's needed in here. Lime always adds such a great brightness to dishes. A lot of times with acidity, if there's something that you are missing in your dish, it's actually acidity. So don't be afraid to add a little bit of lemon, a little bit of lime. It's going to brighten up your dish. Too much will make it taste more like the lemon or lime, whatever that you're putting in, but just enough should balance it out. And most times you won't even taste that. So here we go. Okay, I think that we need to start putting some of these things on plate because I'm not filming this by myself. There's a crew, there's other people here, and shout out to you guys, shout out to all your hard work. Thank you for assisting tonight. We got a really good team here. So let's get this started. I'm gonna start with this because it's already going. A little bit of white rice. You know, I use a little bit of stock in there. Ratio 2 to 1. Bring to a boil. Once you hit the boil, turn it down to low. Cover it about 20 minutes. Pull it off the heat. Let it sit for 5. Very simple way to do rice. But for this, you definitely want to get a nice little mountain of rice. And that's shrimp and curry shrimp and plantain. Just want to get that on top. Presentation is everything. Wipe the edges of your plates, people. We'll just serve this with a little bit of, just a little bit of lime right there. Run it out a little bit of garnish here. Next up, we have the soup. Oh, this soup. This soup was absolutely fantastic. Great color, great texture. For those of you that are just joining us, you missed a whole lot of cooking. We are celebrating cultural cuisine, Black History Month. I'm Chef Rob Thomas. I'm here with Black History Manitoba, and we've been having such a great time tonight. For those of you that have been with us all night, thank you very much. And I wish that I could dish this out to you. But the recipes are going to be available, so you may just have to make it yourself. And always let me know if you have any questions. So again, I'm gonna get some soup in there. Remember what I said? Wipe these edges. What we can do with this is let's garnish this with a little bit of some crushed peanuts here. And a little bit of green onion. All right. Now, there we go. Look at that. Look at that. That's that brown butter crust. And that brown butter is running all the way through it. Just absolutely delicious. We're just gonna cut a nice healthy piece here. Look at that. Look how fluffy that is. It smells fantastic. Absolutely incredible. I'm just gonna put this right here because that's probably what you're gonna want to have with it. There we go. So we have 3 wonderful dishes to celebrate Black culture, Black cultural cuisine, and again, I feel very honored that I was the messenger tonight of all this. Again, for everyone joining us on Zoom, thank you very much. At Chef Rob Thomas on Instagram. My IG fam, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your shout outs. And come on in here.
This has been, and I am so quick to let you guys go.
Everybody's hungry. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna go and
I have a couple things. So we are going to share the recipe
yes.
for everybody. And just to clarify for your drink, that's more of a recipe from the heart. So it's
that was more the recipe of the heart. I'll do my best to get it to you. I will, because I know there's some people that really love that dish the first time I made it. And now that it's the remix, they may want to try something again. So I'll do my best to get that to you. But the other recipes are definitely.
So make sure that you're following Chef Rob on IG, on Twitter, on his website, wherever you need to follow him, and you will be able to get that recipe store for that. And I also have a question because some people obviously peanuts and that's not good. So can we make a substitute, or how would we do that pumpkin soup without?
Yeah, you can actually just make it a pumpkin soup. You can just omit the peanuts. Some people have certain allergies to certain nuts, so if you had, say, you're allowed to have almonds, then you can do it with almonds, right? There's also some nut butter alternatives out there too, and that would work just as well.
Yeah, for the peanut butter instead of using nut butter. That's great.
Yeah.
So there we go. I'm hoping that we got everybody's questions and we got everybody engaging. It's been fantastic. I promise you that we'll get Chef Rob back here again. Obviously, he's so busy, but the fact that you made the time today, it really means a lot to us. So thank you so much. Again, we want to thank Mac Photography for being here and helping us with the live broadcast at Black History Manitoba. We are still going strong. We still have about a week left, not even a week left for February. So it seems long. It seems long.
Yeah, we still got a little bit to go.
We got a little bit to go. There's still more events happening. So please make sure that you are checking out the website, BHM.com, to get more information for those winners today. Thank you so much. Congratulations. We'll get those prizes to you. And check out our debate and youth research challenge on Saturday on Zoom. There are more prizes to be won. And just for those who don't already know, the lunch is going to be provided to you for the first 40 people to register. You'll have time to register for our youth debate and research challenge. Lunch will be on us. Lunch is provided and sponsored by Audrey Gordon, MLA for Southdale, and so join us on Saturday. Get lunch on us. Unfortunately, it won't be Chef Rob that's going to be making your lunch. Maybe next time. Next time, hopefully, we'll be able to do this in person.
Yes.
So that's our ultimate goal. So thank you everybody for joining us. If you have any more questions, you can always send us an email. Send it directly to Chef Rob. Information will be again on the website, also on the poster, all of his handles. So, Rob, anything last you want to share with us?
No, I would just like to close it out in the words of the late great Don Cornelius: peace, love, and soul.
Thanks so much. It's awesome. It looks really good. Really, really good.
That's it. All right. You guys want some food?
Yeah.